Hello, good morning, and welcome to Adbn News at 7. I am Beto Bryan. In the news this morning, Nigeria is strengthening its position in artificial intelligence, cyber diplomacy, and digital statecraft as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs hosts the second seminar on anticipatory cyber and digital diplomacy, ACDO 2.0 in Abuja. The seminar brings together government officials, diplomats, security experts, and international partners to explore how emerging technologies can enhance Nigeria's foreign policy and global influence. The ministry says the initiative builds on the 2025 launch of its Artificial Intelligence and Cyber Diplomacy Unit, which is expected to coordinate Nigeria's engagement in global digital governance and emerging technologies.
In a rapidly evolving global landscape where technology continuously reshapes the parameters of diplomacy, it is important to highlight that the contemporary international system is undergoing profound changes and transformation, such that the boundaries between traditional diplomacy, economics, security, science, and technology are becoming fluid. Advances in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and digital technology are reshaping the way and manner in which we engage with other parts of the world.
Also speaking, the British High Commissioner highlighted ongoing cooperation between the United Kingdom and Nigeria in the cyber domain. He noted that both countries are working together in key areas, including cyber threat intelligence, protection of critical national infrastructure, digital forensic, incident response planning, and cybersecurity policy development.
Today's seminar is framed by technological changes and emerging threats which pose challenges to the rule of law and the prosperity of our countries, and indeed to geopolitical stability. We are increasingly aware of the corrosive threat of cyber fraud and crime, and the importance of international collaboration across jurisdictions, collaboration on which the UK and Nigeria have some shared success, but need to do more.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy announced plans to establish a Ministerial Advisory Council on cybersecurity aimed at improving intelligence sharing between government and the private sector. On artificial intelligence, he stated that Nigeria's national AI strategy has gained international recognition and that the country is developing a government-backed large language model capable of operating in major Nigerian languages.
The country is now setting up a Ministerial Advisory Council for Cybersecurity that will bring the private sector together with government and facilitate a process through where we can share intelligence. So the essence of sharing intelligence in cybersecurity is that when companies, they're usually the first point of attack. Right? If you want to attack a country, attack the big companies within the country. So we want to ensure that these companies, when they see trends, they can share that trend, trusting that government can take that information and do what is appropriate with it. So this is the first time it's being set up.
The questions Nigeria must ask herself are, how do we see and anticipate what is coming? How do we prepare for it? As the Minister had mentioned, how do we take advantage of it? And more importantly, I would argue, how do we mitigate the problems that it may bring?
The discussion at ACDO 2.0 reflects Nigeria's growing ambition to integrate artificial intelligence and cyber capabilities into foreign policy, position technology not only as a tool for economic development, but also a strategic instrument for diplomacy, national security, and international influence. President Bola Tinubu 50% salary increase members of the forces with the new pay package from September 2020. The presidency said the increase will benefit about 250,000 personnel, with junior ranks receiving the highest percentage increase as part of efforts to improve troops' welfare. President Tinubu says the salary review recognizes the sacrifices of the armed forces in tackling insecurity and reaffirms his administration's commitment to military modernization and national security. Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has strengthened its fight against financial crimes by inducting officers into the anti-fraud unit, as cybercrime, fraud, and corruption continues to threaten Nigeria's economic security and public trust. The Corps charged the newly inducted officers to uphold integrity, ensure accountability, and work closely with security and financial intelligence agencies to tackle emerging criminal threats. Adbn security correspondent Fumilola Adeyemi reports.
Cybercrime, fraud, and corruption remains major challenges to Nigerian security and development, with criminals increasingly exploiting digital technology to defraud individuals, businesses, and government institutions. Against this backdrop, the NSCDC is equipping its personnel with the skills required to detect, prevent, and investigate financial and cyber-related crimes. The Commandant General of the NSCDC, Professor Ahmed Audi, says the initiative will further promote professionalism, transparency, and accountability while strengthening the fight against fraud and corruption in the country. He added that the inducted officers will be trained in digital forensic, fraud detection, and ethical reporting as the Corps strengthens its zero-tolerance approach to financial crimes.
As members of this Corps, we are entrusted with a monumental responsibility, the protection of life and property, especially in the area of protection of critical national assets and infrastructure of the nation, the maintenance of public order, and the promotion of community safety. However, this noble mission can only be accomplished if we operate on the foundation of integrity.
Both the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and the Nigerian Police Force stresses the importance of intelligence sharing and interagency collaboration in tracing illicit financial flows and disrupting criminal networks.
Fraud by its nature does not respect institutional boundaries, jurisdictional lines, or agency mandates. It moves across banks, telecommunications, network, mobile money platforms, and increasing digital and virtual asset ecosystem. No single agency, however capable, can confront this alone.
With financial crime becoming increasingly sophisticated, this newly inducted batch of the NSCDC anti-fraud unit officers take on a vital mission today, charged with tracking down cyber fraud schemes, curbing public sector corruption, and safeguarding citizens from economic scam. These trained operatives are now heading straight to the front line across the country to reinforce national financial security. From the nation's capital, Fumilola Adeyemi, Adbn News.
Edo State Police Command has intensified its offensive against kidnapping and other violent crimes, taking the fight deep into the forests believed to serve as hideouts for criminal gangs. For the past 6 weeks, tactical police teams have maintained sustained bushcombing operations in Ikadolo, Ovia Northeast local government area, coming ground patrols with drone surveillance to strengthen security. Adbn's Favor Osazua reports.
The thick forests of Ikadolo have become a key battleground as operatives of Police Mobile Force Squadron 5, Benin, and Squadron 82, Uromi, sustained clearance operations aimed at flushing out kidnappers and other criminal elements. Commander of the Police Mobile Force Squadron 5, Assistant Commissioner of Police Olayinka Said, said the operation reflects the force's determination to deny criminals safe havens and restore public confidence.
This one is a very special one. We are mobile policemen. We are the striking force of the Nigerian police, and that's why we're here. At least with what you have seen, even the little taste you have had today, you know that we're not joking. So it is like that. These are things we are doing for Nigerians to keep them safe. And my advice, or probably my appeal to the members of the public is, we are not spirits. We don't consult oracle to bust crime. What we need is intelligence from them. The era of saying if you give police intelligence or information, they will betray you. No. The internet are there.
Surveillance drone was also deployed to provide aerial intelligence and support officers on ground. The sustained operation underscores the growing integration of technology and conventional policing as security agencies continue efforts to dismantle criminal hideouts and strengthen public safety across the state. The drone commander said the Edo State government's investment in security technology has significantly enhanced intelligence gathering and operational effectiveness.
This is a Matrix 400 DJI drone. With this drone, we use it for area surveillance to capture the whole environment. We can fly it as it is now, right now. If you look at this, is about 779 meters in the air. And with this, it can cover the whole of this area. And this can go as much as 8,000 kilometers. So we've been using this since January. The governor provided it for us, Senator Monday Okpebolo, His Excellency. And we've been using this and we've been having so much breakthroughs. We've been to Edo North, Edo South, Edo Central, and we've been getting so much breakthroughs with these drones. So we are also thankful to our President AIG Zone 5, Monday Agbonika. It has been helpful to us.
The responsibility of protecting lives and property is no longer just on the shoulders of the security personnel or forces alone. You see something, you say something has become the trending slogan in Edo State. In Edo, Favor Osazua, ADBN News.
Kaduna State Police Command says it has recorded major successes against kidnapping, gun running and other violent crimes through intelligence-led operations across the state. Police say 16 suspected kidnappers, 3 suspected gun runners, and 6 members of a counterfeit dollar syndicate were arrested, while firearms, fake US dollar notes, stolen vehicles, hard drugs and other valuables were recovered. The command also announced the arrest of a suspected kidnap kingpin and reaffirmed its commitment to sustaining operations against criminal networks through collaboration with other security agencies. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to improving the welfare of communities hosting hydroelectric power infrastructure through investments in infrastructure, environmental protection, and rural development. The NHYPDEC says it's implementing projects in flood control, healthcare, education, agriculture, and youth empowerment across its member states, including drainage desilting, solar-powered boreholes, classroom blocks, and solar street lightings in Kaduna.
This interactive session provides an invaluable opportunity to listen to one another, assess our progress, identify emerging priorities, and deepen the partnership required to deliver even greater impact. We have distributed 1,250 land jackets to riverine communities, provided operational flying boats to strengthen emergency response. We have also disinfected 40,000 million liters of drainages and pelvets and sustained flood awareness campaigns in collaboration with the relevant government agencies.
Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani, represented by the Commissioner for Agriculture, Murtala Dabo, commended the Commission's interventions and reaffirmed the state commitment to flood control and environmental management.
As a state, they are helping us a lot, but we know that our focus should be on communities along the corridors of these rivers because they are the victims of floods and other events along the river bank. And everybody knows most of the communities, the victims are mostly farmers and perhaps the households.
The NHYPDEC state coordinator and traditional leaders at the meeting identified collaboration among government development partners and host communities as critical to tackling flood and erosion.
This engagement is therefore not a formality. It is a platform for dialogue, for listening, and for creating solutions with you, the people who understand the realities on the ground. That lasting developments cannot be imposed from Abuja or from Mina. It must be shaped with you. Your voices on issues of flood control, erosion, healthcare, education, youth and empowerment are critical of how we deploy our resources in Kaduna.
Aware that Lero Bridge is a gateway to the southern part of the state, including Abuja and so many other big cities. That bridge is now in a critical stage. Over the years, the washout, the rainy season, the overflow of the bridge of the river has eroded part of the section of the bridge. And this has hindered the strength and the structural design of the bridge. And if something is not done urgently to address the situation, we may have a situation where the bridge will collapse.
The Commission says it will continue to partner with governments, traditional institutions, and development partners to deliver sustainable projects that improve livelihoods and build resilient communities across hydroelectric power producing areas. House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating the alleged operations of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council has received fresh evidence in its ongoing probe. A businessman told the committee he paid 400 million naira in connection with a contract awarded by the purported agency, while lawmakers also raised concerns over the use of official government vehicles and security personnel. The committee has summoned the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps to explain the issuance and use of federal government number plates linked to vehicles associated with the alleged agency.
Okay, if we need money from you and ask you to pay the money through Ministry of Agri, not account of the National Assembly, is that not enough reason for you to suspect that the aspect of money is not trustworthy?
Do you stand by your submission that this money had been paid instrumentally with dates and evidences as you presented before us? Is this the true reflection of your submission?
The alleged use of official federal government number plates has widened the inquiry, with the FRSC Corps Marshal summoned to explain how vehicles linked to the purported agency obtained the plates. The committee would also question the alleged Director General separately while he remains in police custody.
Contract award letter, the scope of work, and at the same time the agreement with my company to execute that refurbishment project, and asked me to pay sum of 400 million naira for the facilitation of that project to show my strength.
The committee's inquiry continues amid allegations of impersonation, financial impropriety, and the alleged abuse of public institutions in the operations of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council. Moving on, National Assembly Joint Committees on Land Transport has questioned the award of an alleged $3 billion rail contract by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, without the knowledge of the Federal Ministry of Land Transportation. The committee has summoned officials of the Federal Ministry of Finance and MOFI to explain the contract award, its funding source and implementation plan. Lawmakers say the discovered alleged contracts for rail projects in Lagos, Kaduna, and Kano during an oversight exercise, raising concerns over due process and purported inclusion of the supervising ministry.
We found it to be bizarre and awkward for award of contract of up to $3 billion to companies and by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, that they don't have engineers, they don't have professionals to handle the technical aspect of it. And we cannot proceed with this meeting unless we invite the Ministry of Finance and also MOFI to come and appear before this joint committee to explain how that contract was awarded. The source of funding will also have to be explained.
The committee further requested details of compensation and resettlement plans for communities and residents likely to be displaced by the rail projects. Also speaking, Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Land Transport, Honorable Blessing Onu, explained dissatisfaction over the absence of the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Finance and officials of MOFI at the investigative hearing.
Let it be on record that we invited MOFI, we invited the Permanent Secretary of Finance, and they are both not here. And Nigerians need to know these things. Like we all rightly agree, it is the taxpayers' money. Not showing themselves here today is undermining the lawmakers. And we will not, it's completely unacceptable.
House of Representatives has endorsed the Leadership for Equity, Advocacy and Development Lead Fellowship as part of efforts to strengthen youth participation in governance and nurture a new generation of ethical leaders. The initiative is designed to equip emerging leaders with the knowledge, values, and institutional exposure needed for effective public service and democratic leadership. Adbn's Laraba Mure reports.
With many young Nigerians actively participating in student politics and civic engagement, stakeholders say the challenge is no longer identifying future leaders, but preparing them for responsibilities of governance. They argue that ethical leadership, accountability, and respect for democratic institutions must be cultivated long before young people assume public office.
We must make young people realize that leadership is beyond political office or influence. It is high time we prepared young people for power as the trustees of our tomorrow. They must understand how government works and how to use political office to change society for the better.
So young people must not remain spectators in governance. Democracy works best when young people participate, organize, engage institutions, contest ideas, and hold leaders accountable.
The 18-month program will mentor 1,000 student leaders from 10 tertiary institutions through policy engagement, leadership training, institutional placement, and mentorship. Organizers say the initiative is designed to bridge the gap between campus leadership and public service while promoting inclusive participation in governance.
Who will lead Nigeria tomorrow? And how are we preparing young people for the tomorrow we are desired today? I am particularly pleased that the LEAD Fellowship adopts a comprehensive leadership development model that combines structured learning, peer engagement, practical policy training, and institutional placements.
I invite you to look at the LEAD Fellowship as a critical sub-component of national security, human capital development, and democratic renewal. Campus politics is where the DNA of Nigeria's future political culture is rehearsed. However, as a society, we have turned a blind eye to systemic flaws that threaten our democratic future.
As Nigeria continues to grapple with leadership and governance challenges, stakeholders believe that the LEAD Fellowship could play a critical role in grooming new generation of ethical leaders capable of strengthening democratic institutions and driving national development. Laraba Mure, Adbn News.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Bison Nyesom Wike, has declared that President Bola Tinubu remains the only credible leader and leadership option for Nigeria, insisting that no other potential presidential contender has demonstrated courage or capacity to confront the country's long-standing economic challenges. Speaking at his monthly media briefing on Tuesday in Abuja, Wike defended Tinubu's economic reforms, particularly the removal of petrol subsidy, describing the decision as the boldest taken by any Nigerian president in decades.
When the government tells me I will do this, no decision can be 100% right. But what makes leadership is the ability for you to take a decision. After we heard so many presidents said, this first subsidy is a scam, this, that. But nobody had that, to me, nobody had that authority, the political will. To say, okay, this is bad, Let us stop it. Giving credit there. More money has come. 2, to put an economy together with use of short economy that been bastardized. It's not where you did time to say, God Almighty, this man who is God, heal him now. No, it's not done that. It takes time, but it will be a hot thing. I prefer a candidate that I know what he says is what he will do.
Questioned the neutrality of Archbishop Emeritus of the Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja, Cardinal John Onainkon, insisting that the cleric was not impartial during the 2023 general election. While reacting to the controversy that follows Onaikon's comments after a recent meeting between President Bola Tinubu and members of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria. Following the meeting, the cardinal said in an interview that people around the president were presenting a rosy picture of the country to him and suggested that the president was focused on securing victory in the 2027 presidential election.
You are taking a side which is very clear. It becomes difficult for people to begin to see those comments as being helpful or real. I'm aware of the position of Cardinal Onaikonn. All of us know it's not hidden. His position, how? Who he supports, everybody knows that.
I don't know who he supports.
No, that's what I say. That's what I say. It's not every time say things are bad. Nobody has heard you say one day, government have done this well.
Responding to the development, Wike argued that the public comments from religious leaders should reflect balance, warning that persistent criticism without acknowledging government's achievements could be viewed as politically motivated. In other news, indigents of Ikono local government area in Akwa Ibom State say newly commissioned constituency projects by Senate President Godswill Akpabio would improve infrastructure and service delivery in their communities. The projects were commissioned on behalf of the Senate President by his wife, Dr. Ekaite Unoma Akpabio, during a ceremony in Ikono local government area. Residents expressed optimism that the projects will enhance development and improve the quality of life across the area. Adbn's correspondent, Precious Ukeje, reports.
First up was at the palace of the paramount ruler of Ikono local government area, His Royal Majesty Edidem Etem Nanaitang, where the Senate President received royal blessings before proceeding to the project sites. From Ndia to Pomita and the Biakunto Okbo, the projects included a 1-kilometer road, a 500-meter road, and electrification works at the General Hospital, Ikono, among other interventions. Ahead of the exercise, a former commissioner for special duties, Mr. Godwill Omo, recalled the benefits Ikono people had gained from Senator Akpabio.
He made me the state legal advisor of the party, PDP. And while there, I did 88 cases for the party. Some of those cases are those I used to become SAN today. At all times, Ikono people, as usual, we will support him.
Executive Chairman of Ikono Local Government, Right Honorable Otobon Okonesien, while receiving the Senate President, appreciated him for the various projects he executed in Ikono Local Government area.
For Ikono Senatorial District, there were 10 local governments. For you to go round from one local government to another, it shows the kind of heart you have. Some people will not do it, they just wait for their husbands to do it or government to do it. They are not interested, but you love us right from the beginning. Thank you so much.
Paramount ruler of Ikono, Edidem Etemna Naitang, recounted the Senate President's exploits in Ikono and other local government areas in the state.
I'm not going to touch every local government. Each local government, any project, of course, we will put up
Parts of the community.
Times like this, when health is absolutely on the focus, everything possible that can be done to improve the health of the people is one that is greatly welcome now. And we know that light in a health facility is a critical one. We've had challenges with this particular transformer over a period of time, fixed, gone bad, and then a lot of other issues over time. And now you have stepped in to help us to have a permanent fix.
This project is not just an electrification project. It's a lifeline. It will add more values to this environment. I want to promise the Armomy, as touching this project, we'll make sure that we'll do the community networking in terms of security to make sure that no vandalism.
These projects will impact positively on the lives of the members of these communities in the Kono local government area. Precious Ukeje, Adbn News.
Residents of Ita Uruan community in Uruan local government area of Akwa Ibom State have appealed to the government and relevant intervention agencies to urgently address the worsening landslides and gully erosions destroying lives and property. They made the appeal while speaking with Adbn correspondents during a visit to the community to assess the extent of the environmental damage and the urgent measures needed to mitigate the growing risks. David Isong files this report.
This is Itauran village, a gazetted community in Uran local government area of Akwa Ibom State. This road serves as a major link between Itauran, Emanuran, Ibiakuran, Mbiakonguran, and the University of Uyo main campus along Ikpa Road. For years, residents have grappled with poor road infrastructure, landslides caused by indiscriminate laterite excavation, and severe gully erosion that has destroyed homes and claimed lives. Residents who spoke with our crew lamented that persistent rainfall has further deteriorated the road, disrupting transportation and crippling commercial activities.
Roads are being fixed within the local government, but this particular road is very bad. We need government to intervene and fix the road. Vehicles, motorcycles can't use the road. Some residents have lost their lives and properties washed away. While the rain falls, we can't go anywhere. Businesses can't thrive because of the bad road. People have died. Business items have also been taken by the heavy downpour. I am appealing to the government to intervene.
A retired controller of corrections and resident of the community, CC Paul Etubon, said the deplorable condition of the road has discouraged investors while appealing to the government to implement lasting solutions.
Now, all the efforts we have made has amounted to nothing because the rain, the current of the water running throughout all the cement bags that we fill with sand to at least to stabilize a portion of the road for us to pass. Now it has become a gully issue, and we can no longer, as community members, maintain the road anymore. Now, this has affected the community so seriously. When it rains, people are barred from walking through the road because you might mistakenly fall into any part of the gully by the sides of the road, especially children.
Also speaking, the village head of Itauran, Obong Augustine Effiong, said the erosion and poor road condition have hindered the transportation of agricultural produce and limited residents' access to healthcare services.
These three communities that the road has affected, They are the bedrock of agricultural produce. We cannot send out our agricultural produce since we don't have silo system to store them. We cannot send them to the market. You have seen it where I say, which driver will come to put his vehicle there? Apart from that, the health center we have is just a few kilometers from here. People living at the upside, if something happening in the night, how can they rush somebody to the hospital? We have had premature delivery. We have had people that died during hemorrhage during delivery because they were unable to be rushed to the hospital.
Following the increasing landslide and gully sites caused by heavy rainfalls and excavation of laterite, residents of Itauran in Oran local government area are calling on the government and interventionist agency to help fix their roads and improve their livelihood. In Oran local government area, David Isong, Adbn News.
Nigeria Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, has commenced its 2026 Technology Innovation Challenge to promote local content and support indigenous solutions for oil and gas industry. The challenge held at the Nigerian Content Tower in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, featuring 15 teams competing with innovative technologies for the grand prize. ADBN's Edith Barasua completes the report.
Out of 200 Nigerians from different institutions and centers of excellence across the country were registered for the Technology Innovation Challenge TIC 2026. 15 teams stand to participate and compete in this round of the competition to find practical, innovative engineering solutions for the energy sector into commercialization. The competition kicked off with a mentorship and orientation session by representatives of the board. Also, Chairman of the TIC committee gave a brief overview of the activities that will run throughout the period of the challenge and its relevance to the Nigerian energy ecosystem, while charging participants to put in their very best in the coming.
This program is for the betterment of the industry. We want to create innovation in our operations. And I believe all you guys to work hard to make sure that, yes, you have shown the talent you have so that you can go to the next level.
The challenge, basically, it's a flagship program that NCDMB has launched, the Research and Development Directorate, to identify and select indigenous technologies to address key oil and gas pain points, through this program. So far, we started with a selection process, more than 100 innovators, and then we brought it down to 30 innovators, and we had an online mentorship program for them for about a month.
The competition also featured brainstorming and training sessions where participants shared their innovation ideas. Participants expressed enthusiasm and appreciation to the board as they look forward to the finale.
NCDMB has given us a platform to showcase it and to bring it to the market, to help commercialize it, and to help to put it out there to solve real problems in the upstream oil and gas industry. So I really want to appreciate NCDMB.
Thereafter, the best 10 teams will be selected to move to the next round, and their innovations will be incubated into real-life solutions and showcased for commercialization through the board. Edith Baraswa, ADBN News.
Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has signed a 15-year lease agreement with the Enugu state government for its digital industrial park and learning center in Enugu. Under the deal, the facilities will be transformed into the Enugu Talent City and an artificial intelligence institute to boost digital innovation, skills development, and job creation. NCC Executive Vice Chairman Dr. Aminu Meada said the initiative aligns with President Bola Tinubu's digital economy agenda, while Governor Peter Mba said it will position Enugu as a leading hub for AI technology development. You're watching ADBN News at 7. Still ahead, business, foreign, sports, and entertainment stories. Stay with us. Welcome back to ADBN News at 7, and now to news from our business desk. World Trade Organization Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has urged Nigeria to prioritize effective execution and maintenance of infrastructure over increased budget allocations to achieve sustainable development. Speaking at the Delta State Economic and Investment Summit, she said public spending alone cannot deliver growth without effective implementation, proper maintenance, and sustained investment in infrastructure. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala identified better ports, improved digital infrastructure, and lower trade costs as critical to boosting Nigeria's competitiveness, while urging governments to remain focused on delivering tangible results. She also commended Delta State's emphasis on capital projects and support for special economic zones, saying they could drive industrialization, attract private investments, and position the state as a major economic hub. Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says recent stability in the foreign exchange market, rising external reserves, and easing inflation shows that its monetary reforms are delivering positive results. The Apex Bank says foreign reserves have risen above $52.5 billion, while the gap between official and bureau the exchange rates has narrowed to below 2%. The CBN also urged Nigerians to rely on its verified information channels and warned against the abuse, mutilation, and counterfeiting of the naira. At least 5 people have been killed after Ukrainian drone strikes hit Russia's Moscow region, with 2 Wildberries warehouse facilities reportedly targeted. Russian authorities say the attacks triggered fires and damaged infrastructure as emergency crews responded to the affected areas. The latest exchange is part of continued cross-border attacks between Russia and Ukraine, with both sides intensifying strikes on strategic targets. Still on the foreign scene, worshippers have been killed after heavy rains, the landslide at an Orthodox monastery in Ethiopia's northern Amhara region. The landslide hit parts of the Stiskadian Mariam Monastery, injured and taken to hospital for treatment. Authorities say the disaster followed intense overnight rainfall as Ethiopia continues to experience its annual rainy season, which has been linked to several deadly landslides in recent years. Nigerian National League has confirmed Owerri as the host of its 17th annual general meeting. The meeting will hold on Friday, August 21, ahead of the 2026/2026 season following the approval of Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma. The annual general meeting will bring together key football stakeholders, including officials of the Nigerian Football Federation, alongside representatives of all 36 NNL clubs. The AGM will focus on preparations for the new NNL season, including the league roadmap, club licensing, regulations, and possible amendments to the league's rules and regulations. In other sports news, Ivory Coast women's national football team secured top spot in Group B of the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations with a 2-1 victory over Tanzania at the Larbi Zauli Stadium in Casablanca. Nasir Queredro opened the scoring shortly before the halftime, finishing from an assist by Ines Kona. Kona then doubled the Lady Elephants' advantage from the penalty spot in the 68th minute. Tanzania pulled a goal back deep into stoppage time through Diana Musewa, who converted from the penalty spot, but it proved to be nothing more than a consolation as Twiga Stars exited the competition. The victory sees Ivory Coast complete the group stage unbeaten with 7 points from 3 matches. In the group's other fixture, South Africa defeated Burkina Faso 1-0 to finish second and qualify for the quarterfinals. Gianni Infantino has summoned senior officials of FIFA to an emergency meeting in Rabat, Morocco, following mounting criticisms of his controversial proposal to sell stakes in FIFA's commercial and event operations. Among those who have been publicly opposed, among those who have publicly opposed the proposed FIFA Forward enterprise are FIFA Chief of Global Football Development Arsene Wenger, FIFA Secretary General Matthias Grafstrom, and Prince Ali bin El Hussein. Infantino, who has been in Morocco over the past week, called the executive meeting in efforts to find a resolution to the growing controversy. Wenger has already described the decision to abandon the proposal as absolutely necessary and beyond question. Meanwhile, Carlos Cordero, Infantino's senior advisor on global strategy and governance, was the only FIFA official to resign over the affair, describing the proposal as a bad deal for football that would mortgage football's future. And now to news from the entertainment scenes. Veteran television host Frank Edo says the Nigerian edition of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire ended because it was no longer commercially sustainable. Speaking on the show, Edo attributed Who Wants to Be a Millionaire closure to rising production costs and withdrawal of key sponsors, making it difficult to continue production. He described the program as one of Nigeria's most successful television quiz shows, saying it promoted learning, rewarded knowledge, and left a lasting impact on the country's television industry. And that's it on ADBN Television News this morning. Remember to watch us live on DSTV channel 258, on StarTimes channel 140, Avo TV app, Limex World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website on www.adbntv.com. You can also watch us live from every part of the world by logging on to www.adbntv.com. I am Beto Brian, thanking you for watching. Good morning.
ADBN, a part of you. Every second, a story breaks.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally presented the 2026 appropriation bill to the National Assembly.
The nation reacts. The world shifts. History moves in real time. Before the noise, before the opinions. One screen keeps you connected. From the headlines shaking the nation to the stories everyone talks about tomorrow. Stream anytime, anywhere. When the story matters, you know where to turn. ADBN, a part of you.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere to protect your health. So keep washing your hands, not just when they're dirty, but even on the go. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your hands clean.
Every day, decisions are made, policies are announced, challenges emerge, and lives are changed. But beyond the headlines, beyond the politics, beyond the noise, are the conversations that matter. On Softline, Nigeria's leading voices unpack the issues shaping our future, from governance to business, education, healthcare, technology, security, and the economy. Real conversations, expert insights, solutions that move the nation forward. Because understanding today's decisions shapes tomorrow's opportunities. Now airing 4 p.m. every weekday and Saturdays. Softline, where informed decisions begin.
Every day, across forests, highways, towns, and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head-on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces, salute their gallantry, stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Hashtag Unite Against Terror.
Did you know vote buying and vote selling is a criminal offense? Under Nigerian law, the punishments for vote buying and selling includes a fine of 5 million naira, a 2-year jail term, or both. Through strict legislative updates to the repealed Electoral Act 2022 ahead of the upcoming general elections, the National Assembly significantly stiffened these penalties. Under the current legal framework, Section 22 of the new Electoral Act 2026, the fine was escalated from previous limits, which capped punishment at 500,000 naira and 12 months in prison, to not less than 5 million naira and a jail term of not less than 2 years. Additionally, convicted offenders face a mandatory 10-year ban from contesting any election in Nigeria. The stiffened penalties apply explicitly to anyone who unlawfully possesses a voter's card, sells or attempts to sell a voter's card, buys or offers to buy a vote, or sells and offers to sell a vote. All voters are advised against selling their votes. If votes don't count, who would try to buy them? Stay updated on our latest series of voter education on the ADBN Enlightenment Campaign.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on ADBN TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
The global business is never static. Watch the market report on ADBN TV for business information, latest happening business deals, government economic policies, stock, crude oil and commodity trading, financial upstick and downstick, and the world of organized private sector. The market report showing on ADBN TV 1 to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. The market report bringing you up to speed in the business world.
Did you know the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) will begin the distribution of permanent voter cards across Osun State from Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2026, ahead of the Osun State governorship election on Saturday, the 15th of August 2026. According to the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, the exercise is for newly registered voters, citizens who apply for a transfer of their voter registration, those who requested replacement of lost or damaged PVCs, as well as voters who are yet to collect their cards from previous registration exercises. PVC distribution will begin at the registration area centers from Wednesday, the 22nd of July, before moving to INEC local government area offices from Wednesday, the 29th of July to Friday, the 7th of August, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily, including weekends. Remember, PVC collection is strictly personal. No one can collect your card on your behalf, and without your PVC, you cannot be accredited or vote on election day. As Osun prepares to elect its next governor and deputy governor, visit your designated PVC collection center before the deadline. Collect your permanent voter cards and take your place in deciding the future of Osun on Saturday, the 15th of August, 2026. Get your PVC. Protect your vote.
Stay updated on our latest series of voter education on the ADBN Enlightenment Campaign.
Every second, a story breaks.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally presented the 2026 appropriation bill to the National Assembly.
The nation reacts. The world shifts. History moves in real time. Before the noise, before the opinions. One screen keeps you connected. From the headlines shaking the nation to the stories everyone talks about tomorrow. Stream anytime, anywhere. When the story matters, you know where to turn. ADBN. A part of you.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere to protect your health. So keep washing your hands, not just when they're dirty, but even on the go. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your hands clean.
Every day, decisions are made, policies are announced, challenges emerge, and lives are changed. But beyond the headlines, beyond the politics, beyond the noise, are the conversations that matter. On Softline, Nigeria's leading voices unpack the issues shaping our future, from governance to business, education, healthcare, technology, security, and the economy. Real conversations, expert insights, solutions that move the nation forward. Because understanding today's decisions shapes tomorrow's opportunities. Now airing 4 p.m. every weekday and Saturdays. Softline, where informed decisions begin.
The global business is never static. Watch the market report on Adbn TV for business information, latest happening business deals, government economic policies, stock, crude oil and commodity trading, financial upstick and downstick, and the world of organized private sector. The market report showing on Adbn TV 1 to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. The market report bringing you up to speed in the business world.
Hello, good morning, and a warm welcome to ADBN's flagship program, Morning Express. My name is Chijioke Okafor, and I'm not alone in the studio. Joining me this morning is my colleague and co-host, Cynthia Okosa. Good morning, Cynthia.
Good morning to you,
Looking bright and early this morning.
You too. And the weather has said that we should be calm and put on our...
Absolutely. Quite turbulent outside, but very beautiful weather at that.
Yes, cozy. Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to yet another edition. Just like my host has mentioned, a lot is happening in the political space in Nigeria, and I know you know what I mean. We're in that season, so no news for us that I'll mention that we don't know what's going on. It's the political season, and you get to know what is going on just after the short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, you're welcome. From that short break, first on, if you ask me, and the news says, Tinubu, okay, salary increase for 250,000 armed forces personnel. Yes. And going above that news, we have Nigerians affected as U.S. introduces new asylum rule for foreign applicants. Economic summit, Oborewori reinforces Delta's commitment to diversification. It's time Nigeria deliberately prepares young people for leadership, says at the sidebar. We have drama as soldiers. Osun local government bosses clash over illegal mining activities. Soludo have successfully ended Monday's stay at home in Onitsha. And going under to the picture of prominence, we have this news that has the kicker on Nikon on State of the Nation. Church has duty to speak truth to power, says the Catholic Laity Council. And underneath it, it says, urges presidency, the church to sustain channels of dialogue. Middle Belt Forum backs Cardinal Bishop's economic warnings. The pains of Nigerians don't discriminate, says COSEYL. PFIPC probe, I paid Adbn 400 million naira for fake 2 billion naira contract, says contractors. Reps summon FRSC call marshal over number plate to interrogate Adbn in detention. Police bill, ADC accuses reps of circumventing constitution. And under the rider we have simple breathing exercises may help beat addiction cravings, as according to studies. And those are the news that make headlines on New Telegraph this morning.
Let's move away from the New Telegraph newspaper and skip over to the Daily Monitor with the headline story. Tinubu approves salary increase for armed forces personnel. New package takes effect September 1st to benefit about 250,000 military personnel across the services. Defense Minister assures President of renewed military commitment. Northern senators hailed Tinubu over military pay rise. Now, right above the masthead, a story concerning the recent comments of John Cardinal Onaiyekan, and it says Amaechi counters Wike's claim, says Onaiyekan supports nobody. Beneath the masthead rather, court dismisses NDC suit seeking to void sections of Electoral Act. Hard times await air travelers as unions begin airlines picketing over collected TSC. Customs to begin annual recruitment releases final list of 3,852 persons. Allows our others dismissal of students found guilty of kidnapping. Let's walk our way down to one last story before we move to other papers. NAD, hopeful of averting strike after federal government meeting, says FG agreed to 1 week timeline for resolving outstanding salary-related issues. These are the stories prominently featured on the Daily Monitor.
Away from the Daily Monitor onto the Blueprint newspaper this morning, same story about the military personnel increased salary. It says Tinubu raises armed forces annual pay to 924 billion naira, approves 80% increase. IEDs kill ISWAP bomb makers, medic, Arab experts in Borno. Man duped bandits leader 95 million naira for guns supply, says reps. And just above this news, 2027, returning Governor Mba to Enugu's Lion Building, a job made easy. Nigeria's foreign reserves exceeds target, rises above $52.5 billion. Wafubi under 20, Wafubi under 20, Female Eagles chase final ticket, AFCON qualification. And just above this news, just beneath it rather, by the sidebar to your left, why Fubara lost second-term ambition, says Wike. And going under to the story of prominence, there's this news that has it. Oshun Guba, stop blame game over your woes, APC tells Adeleke. Are people not getting value for 16 billion naira FAAC allocation, says Ambo. Council of Alfaz alleges marginalization and endorses Oyebamiji. Under the news, we have Nigerian banks remain strong, secure amid global cyber campaign, says analyst. How I paid fake PFIPC boss 400 million naira for contract, businessman tells reps. Security spending, group defense, and NPCL, GCEO false calls for resignation. And on the rider, court strikes out NDC eligibility suit against Electoral Act 2026. And these are the stories on the Blueprint this morning.
Let's move over all the way to the Guardian newspaper. Now, the Guardian newspaper still has a salary increase story, but from a different perspective, as we hear that 57 state varsities and others are in limbo over selective implementation of about 40% salary increase agreement between the federal government and the state varsities. Let's see the Guardian newspaper and what it says on the front page. 40% salary increase. Let's take the Guardian newspaper. 40% salary increase agreement. 57 state varsities, others in limbo over selective implementation. Well, this story is continued on news page 6 of The Guardian. Right above the headline story, Wike defends Tinubu's reforms, dismisses Obi Atiku's ambitions. PFIPC contractor tells reps he was scammed by Adbn after paying 400 million naira. Tinubu unveils major military welfare package, 80% pay rise for soldiers. Working our way down, some more stories featured on the front page. Police shot Abuja Stadium over security threat. 21 feared dead, 37 abducted as bandits raid Sokoto, Plateau communities. Now on the front page is an infographics capturing the headline story, mirroring what the headline story says about the alleged selective implementation of the 40% salary increase. At the bottom, ADC, Rulak, Shore faults state police bail process over transparency, timing. WAFCON, federal government's unkept 100,000 promise rocks Super Falcons camp. And these are the stories prominently featured on the front page of The Guardian. One last story to go. Oando targets 100,000 barrels per day as revenue rises by 20% to 2.1 trillion naira.
Away from that newspaper onto the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the story of prominence has it that many fear dead as gunmen attack Sokoto again. And above that news, Tinubu raises salaries of armed forces personnel. Phantom Council will quiz Adeyemi privately, says Reps panel. On icon to presidency, we've spoken, we await changes. And just under the story of prominence, we have this news that says, Indimi seeks to join appeal against $43.5 million award to daughters. And just on the rider, why Kanu Assembly suspended 3 council chairmen. Flood kills security personnel, teenager in Yobe. Published bad road built under Oyetola, says Osun government. And the picture of prominence has locations in some core parts of the north like Zamfara and Sokoto, where they seem to have some hotspot location for these banditry attacks. And these are the stories that make headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper.
Moving away from the Daily Trust, let's see some more stories before we have our guests join us for the day. The Nation newspaper has a story that leads us all the way back to the alleged Phantom Council. Now, a contractor has told the House of Representatives panel that he was scammed of about 400 million naira by the PFIPC, alleged PFIPC DG, Prince Adeyemi. The headline story reads, businessman says Adeyemi scammed me of 400 million naira. One strap line attached to the headline story, I paid in 5 times on promise of renovation contract. Wike, Amechi differ on Nikon's outburst. Let's see some more stories at the very bottom. Well, just one story capturing happenings around Osun State. And of course, this is the All Progressives Congress put it out an advertorial for Osun electorates to take back their state with pictures of damaged flyovers and roads in Osun State allegedly built by the current administration. These are the stories on the Nation newspaper.
Away from the Nation newspaper onto the Disclosure newspaper, the story of prominence reads, insecurity, 48 hours after CWG's feat, federal government shuts down MKO Abiola Stadium. Management announces indefinite suspension of sporting religious activities as Shiites threaten takeover of stadium. Tinubu hails Team Nigeria over CWG feat. And just above that news, we have insecurity. Federal government raises military salary by 80%. Floods. NEMA activates National Emergency Operations Center. Over 85 million Nigerians lack electricity, says REA boss. And just under the picture of prominence, we have this news with a kicker 2027. Renewed rage over Tinubu's certificate. He forged all his academic certificates, ADC chieftain. Certificate not yardstick for good democracy, governance, says APC. Bishop's intervention, moral responsibility to Nigeria, Onaikon clarifies. And on the rider we have 1 feared dead, 37 abducted as bandits sack Sokoto community. Custom unveils final list of 3,852 recruits, promises yearly recruitment exercise. Where are dividends of subsidy removal? Article queries Tinubu. I repeat, where are dividends of subsidy removal? Article queries Tinubu. And these are the stories of the Disclosure newspaper this morning.
Moving away from the Disclosure newspaper, let's pick up the Vanguard newspaper as well as the Daily Sun newspaper, mirroring back to comments of John Cardinal Onaiyekan and, of course, the bickering between the FCT minister and the Northern Youths Forum. Wike, Northern Youths at war over Onaiyekan is the headline story on the Vanguard. Quite a number of strap lines here attached to the headline story. Cardinal Onaiyekan not impartial. He took sides in 2023, claims the FCT minister Wike. He spoke truth on hardship. Northern youths say bishops have rights to criticize government. Amechi blasts, we stand with Onaiyekan, CBCN, Middle Belt Forum. He spoke out of concern for Nigeria, not malice, Catholic Laity Council says. Right above the masthead, dealers effect petrol, diesel depot price cuts. Delta unveils roadmap to unlock 3,000 megawatts potential. Define your vision. Investors will follow, IFC tells government. Tinubu approves pay rise for 250,000 armed forces personnel. Eburajolo says, I walked away from power rather than compromise my integrity. Let's see some stories at the bottom, starting off with the pictures of prominence. To the right is that of the former chairman of Zenith Bank, Mr. Jim Ovia, and President Bola Tinubu during Mr. Ovia's visit to the president at the presidential villa in Abuja yesterday. And right next to that is His Majesty Ogiami Atuase III, the Olu of Warri, and Hannatu Musa Musawa, Minister of Culture, Art, Tourism, and the Creative Economy during a courtesy visit to the Olu of Warri in Warri, Delta State yesterday. Some more stories here. Reps committee to interrogate alleged PFIPC DG at undisclosed location and date. Businessman explains how he paid 400 million naira for contract. Stop new loans until revenue improves. Ex-YFM DG Epo tells federal government. Otedola eyes over 50% stake in First Holdco. Says he's invested over 600 billion naira in the bank. Nigeria to lose over 50% of UK aid as US, Europe/foreign assistance. And lastly, 21 feared dead, 37 abducted as terrorists attack Sokoto community. These are the stories on the Vanguard newspaper.
Away from the Vanguard newspaper onto the Daily Independent newspaper this morning, the story of prominence says 300 billion naira rail outlay draws scrutiny over service shortfalls. And just above that news, we have Otedola invests over 600 billion naira in First Holdco, targets over 50% stake. Fubara ignored my advice, fell for political vampires, says Wike. And just under the news of prominence, the sidebar to the left, we have military wage bill hits 924 billion naira following Tinubu's salary boost. Strike averted as federal government doctors reach compromise. ADC challenges reps procedure on state police bill, demands recommittal. And across the picture of prominence, the sidebar to your right, we've empowered 40,000 residents with tools to boost SMEs, says Sanwo-Olu. Discos posts 208.15 billion naira revenue for May as recovery efficiency dips to 77.31%. And just under the picture of prominence, we have external reserves hit $52.5 billion, highest level in 17 years. And on the rider, we have 2027 poll. Court dismisses NDC suit against new Electoral Act. And these are the stories on the Daily Independent newspaper.
Well, these are the many stories that will inform and guide our discussions on the program this morning. We'll take a break. When we return, we hope to have our first guest of the day, Dr. Aliyu Elias, who is an economist and the MD CSE advisory, to speak to certain very important issues in the news. Stay with us.
Did you know vote buying and vote selling is a criminal offense? Under Nigerian law, the punishments for vote buying and selling includes a fine of 5 million naira, a 2-year jail term, or both. Through strict legislative updates to the repealed Electoral Act 2022 ahead of the upcoming general elections, the National Assembly significantly stiffened these penalties. Under the current legal framework, Section 22 of the new Electoral Act 2026, the fine was escalated from previous limits, which capped punishment at 500,000 naira and 12 months in prison, to not less than 5 million naira and a jail term of not less than 2 years. Additionally, convicted offenders face a mandatory 10-year ban from contesting any election in Nigeria. The stiffened penalties apply explicitly to anyone who unlawfully possesses a voter's card, sells or attempts to sell a voter's card, buys or offers to buy a vote, or sells and offers to sell a vote. All voters are advised against selling their votes. If votes don't count, who would try to buy them? Stay updated on our latest series of voter education on the ADBN Enlightenment Campaign.
You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's usher in our first guest of the day, Dr. Aliu Elias, to the program. A very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining Morning Express, and it's wonderful to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's head straight to a very important economic matter this morning concerning the 13% derivation arrangement for oil-producing states. 11 oil-producing states particularly. We hear that in the first quarter of this year, 2026, about 321.90 billion naira was shared among 11 oil-producing states through the 13% derivation arrangement, which gives the states a share of revenue from resources taken from their territories. However, while Delta State has taken the largest portion of this, over 300 billion naira, more than 100 billion naira, there are certain states like Enugu and Kogi that have only received merely about 46,999 naira during the first quarter, which is quite surprising. But do you care to let us in on why this is so? I understand that it's based on the oil revenue derived from the states, but shouldn't there be some sort of balance across board in this 11 oil-producing states?
Actually, give permission for people to actually take natural resources from a particular places. I think it's government that give license, because from what they said, all the natural resources in Nigeria belongs to the federal government. However, it is government is right. Sometimes it is what it is being taken from your location that you actually get a derivation from, which is, I think, is good. But government also shot itself in the leg, so to say, in this case, because if you say you will give them what you derive from them, why don't you allow these states to actually be the one that will actually annex these natural resources and bring what they can bring to the center? That's what, and that's why, if you recall the last conversation we had, that's what I said, that government can only make headway, Nigeria can only make headway by allowing each state to actually annex their resources, natural resources, and bring maybe 30% to the federal government. So for me, it is no excuse for the states that they are not actually annexing those natural resources. The fault is from government. So if I'm those states now tell government, can you have a caveat or a particular ceiling that this is the amount that I actually wanted, right, at this point in time. And this is the amount you must give every state that have natural resources, so that would be a kind of level of benchmark. Then you now say, if I now annex more, I will give you more. So I think government is the one bringing the challenges, and it is time for the state to say, come and annex my own too, so that I can derive something and so on.
Now, Dr. Aliyu, before we still have you react to some more of these matters arising, let's see if we can have the infographics of the 13% derivation shared amongst 11 oil-producing states in the first quarter of 2026. It will greet your screen in just a moment. We'll go through that together, with Delta State taking up a whopping 101.60 billion naira. Ondo State, right next to that is Bayelsa State with 71.64 billion naira. And of course, Akwa Ibom State with 69.39 billion naira. Rivers with 46.09 billion naira. Ondo got 9.39 billion naira. Imo State 7.39 billion naira. Abia 5.42 billion naira. Edo 7.47 billion naira. And of course, you also have one more oil producing state at the very bottom, which is Anambra with 3.49 billion naira. Two states that have received the poorest of this derivation benefits in the first quarter of 2026 is Enugu and Kogi. Enugu got 46,991 naira, and Kogi also got 46,991 naira. Now, these are very interesting figures. But from your perspective, Dr. Aliyu, what would you advise the sharing formula should be? Because the derivation fund is already enshrined in the Constitution, and changing it will sort of take a little more time. But is there a quick fix to all of this to ensure that more states get to enjoy benefits of the oil, especially in the north, in the southeast and the south-south?
Right. So what I think now is that those governors have to now rise up and say, federal government, come and also take my oil, sell oil block in my environment. Let people come and actually take our natural resources so that we can actually get, because what government is actually saying now is that it is what I get from you that I'm going to give you from it, right? Which I think for me it's better, but it's only better to states if they can agitate that, yes, in this case, let us also annex it and give you what, because if they allow Kogi and Enugu to actually annex what they have, I'm sure they will get much more than this. So all we just need to say that, government, you are losing more money by not annexing these natural resources. Can you please go and actually take advantage of this oil that is available in this state? I think that is the only thing. For me, government is trying to say, yes, it is what we have that we get from you that we are going to pay, which I think, if you look at it closely, those like Kogi that did not take anything from, or that much thing from, there is no environmental degradation, there is no environmental problem. A lot of things also follow that annexing of the natural resources, which I think it could be justified to an extent.
Mr. Lee, do you think that a comprehensive need assessment should be carried out in the respective oil communities to guide project execution?
Right. So I think if you notice, Kogi just came into the fold, and there's always I think there is need assessment. Federal government actually do that very well, because before they can actually fix you part of the state that can get that derivation, that means you have the appropriate thing. But what we could only say is that, are they annexing it? If you notice, Bayelsa and Delta have been there over time, and there is a lot of infrastructure to actually annex those. Because I remember, was it last 3 weeks I was in Warri in particular, you could see that most of the infrastructure have been positioned to annex those things. And then for Delta, remember, they also have water, whereby they bring some of those thing to them, even without even annexing the oil. So I think there's proper need assessment already. The only thing is that they are not annexing that natural resources. They don't pay what they don't annex. And that's why I said those governors need to come together and say, yes, come and take advantage of what is in my soil. It will bring employment to the state. It will bring more infrastructure, and they will get more derivation, as it were.
Well, Dr. Aliu, communities where there's where oil is produced generally, especially in the Niger Delta, continue to deal with challenges linked to oil exploration, including gas flaring, oil spills, damaged farmlands, damaged rivers and the rest, polluted rivers and the rest. And these funds should be seen in things that improve everyday life, such as better roads for these communities, hospitals, schools, clean water at least, and more opportunities for people in those communities. And of course, I believe the latter is being handled by the NCDMB, which is saddled with the responsibility of taking care of local content. However, how well do you think citizens are feeling the impact of the shared funds, especially in states that receive the highest of these funds and states that have had the most environmental degradation in the last couple of years?
Right. So I think if you ask me, honestly, to be candid, I went to, like I said, I went to Warri. From Warri, I think I traveled down to Port Harcourt. I actually followed the roads and I saw the thing. If you say it is not enough, yes, I can agree, but they are not actually benefiting from it. I think that is not correct. Because if you look at most people from Niger Delta, especially Warri and some other states around, they have, some of them get a scholarship, some of them got advantage to work in some oil companies that domicile in their environment. They get CS, community social responsibility from those people. And if you look at their roads, for me, they may need more. It is not bad at all. Remember, NDDC was there before they changed the name. Is it also PADEC as well is also there? So I don't think it's correct that for us to say they are not benefiting. For me, they are benefiting. We may say it's not enough.
Now, in terms of local content, let's get your contribution to that. Many people would, assert that the need for local content is very important, but sometimes this can also override the importance of bringing in very technical and experienced professionals to handle certain key areas in the oil and gas sector. Now, we shouldn't just, toe the line of the local content and hire people even if they do not meet necessary required standards to operate. But from your perspective as an economist, how important is the concept of local content, and do you think we have, as a country, been implementing it properly in the oil and gas sector?
Right. So you recall that we have what is called import substitution, both in terms of products and even services. And that's one of the areas we should strengthen ourselves the more, to the extent that we have to develop our local content. And ideally, we are supposed to even do at least 50% of local content before we can actually get anything to support it. I think it's the way forward for Nigeria in particular, because if you keep depending on expatriates, depending on foreign importation, depending on foreign people to actually do things for you, it will deprive us from work opportunity, job opportunity, technical know-how, and we may continue to serve these people and think they are the one that at least can give us the local solution. Nothing stops us from have really Nigeria made the product, really Nigeria made the refinery, perhaps it's long that we have been in this sector. So by now we should have grow our capacity very, very well, so that at least we can see through and do something very well about it. It's depriving us of a lot. So local content ideally should be like 50% in whatever we are doing.
Mr. Aliu, as the CSOs are championing calls for the accountability and transparency in the laid-down frameworks of how these funds are being handled for these 11 oil-producing states, do you really think that the governments are doing enough to show proof of how this money is being expended? And also, do you think that the quotas shared to each of these states are enough to transform the development of these states? Or what are your ideas as to better do that?
Right. So I think government after government have came about different policy decision, different framework to actually make sure that they actually enjoyed it. If you ask me, I think Umar Yar'Adua actually created a ministry of Niger Delta. if I'm correct. At a particular time, also one government also created NDDC. At a particular time, we also have is it Niger Delta? I mean South is the commission now. Government over time have actually tried, but the question now is that those funds they have been getting so far, how well have they actually utilized it? Because we cannot always come to the center and say the center is not doing well. The center have been releasing some money. You could also see that the education scholarship that center is providing is also going. The thing is, we should also question those in charge of those monies. You remember a lot of scandal in the NDDC, in terms of project that is paddy, you must give it to who you know, and all those. We should also checkmate that, because you cannot always call on government for particular, thing without also having a recourse to look at what the local also do. So I will urge the citizen as well to also ask for accountability from the NDDC, the state government, the SOPADEC, and related, but for me, when I travel, what I saw, I think it's not, the environment is not that bad in terms of infrastructure.
One more issue in the news before we let you go this morning. It's concerning President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approval for an increase in the salaries of armed forces personnel in the country. About an 80% salary increment, which has now shot up the yearly salary bill for the country's armed forces personnel from 600 billion naira to 924 billion naira. This is coming as exciting news for some people, but do you care to let us in on how this is coming to you this morning?
Right. So looking at the purchasing power challenge and disposable income challenge, I think it's a good news for the Nigerian army, because if you see them doing their work, particularly if you see them at a roadblock, you know that it's not easy for someone to be in that area and be getting partially sum of 90, 70,000 naira taken for the family. I think it's a good news that we are hearing that, and it also gives them much more motivation to do more. Then I think we should salute the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because he has increased the command from 8 to 12. Now he has increased the welfare of the military. I'm sure he's doing well more in equipping them as well. So I think it's a good one. These are what we actually expect. And he's also employing about 28,000 more military. I think it's a good one. For me, we should say thank you to Mr. President. But we want them also to justify that in their, in their work, I don't want to say war fronts, in the challenges that we have. I want it to show, and that's when we can say yes, what government actually do have impacted in security and security of life and property of Nigerians.
Thank you so much, Mr. Liu. This is where we draw the curtain on your analytics this morning. Thank you for joining us. And after the short time out, when we come back, what will be greeting our screens will be the information talking about the press release of Gbajabiamila as he gives brief on policing bill progress. And the video will be rolling out shortly after this timeout. So stay with us.
Presidential Working Group on the National Policing Bill. At that meeting, the Secretary of the Working Group presented the profiles of the Policy Advisory Committee approved by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and briefed members on the implementation work plan, its principal milestones, and the outcomes expected at each stage. Now, this is a monumental reform that Nigerians have debated over for many years. The question before the country is how we transform our policing architecture to become more responsive to the realities of our communities. Thus, our central task is now to design a lawful, professional, and sustainable federal and state policing system that places greater capability closer to the people while presenting national standards, national security, and the rights of every Nigerian. The legislative process has advanced considerably. The Senate approved the State Police Constitutional Proposal on 24th of June 2026, and the House of Representatives passed the Executive State Police Bill on 23rd July 2026. The constitutional amendment is, however, not yet in force. It must obtain the approval required from the State Houses of Assembly as prescribed under the Constitution. Until that process is concluded and the necessary implementing laws are enacted, there is no operational state police service anywhere in Nigeria, and the Nigeria Police Force remains the constitutionally recognized police institution. Now, this distinction is very important. The constitutional amendment creates the authority, if you like, the permission, and broad architecture for federal and state policing. However, it does not by itself provide the complete operating system. It does not settle the questions on standards, certification, recruitment, training, funding, command, or jurisdiction complaints. It does not address the question of data, firearms, pensions, transition, or cooperation. Those matters must be addressed in the National Policing Bill and in the consequential laws and instruments that will accompany it. Mr. President established the Presidential Working Group so that Nigeria will be ready to act responsibly when the constitutional process is completed. Our mandate is to produce a technically robust, implementation-ready draft National Policing Bill and supporting legislative package. We are building the legal and operational framework required to move from one federal police institution to a workable dual policing architecture. The assignment includes a preliminary audit of the Police Act of 2020, the Police Service Commission framework, police regulations and other laws and instruments affected by the reform. It includes provisions on national minimum policing standards, objective analysis of state readiness and certification, federal, state, and interstate cooperation, clear jurisdictional rules, independent personnel and complaints institutions, human rights, custody and use of force safeguards, rank equivalence analysis, transfer, secondment and pension portability, criminal information, forensics and interoperable data systems, firearms control, funding, and grant conditions. It includes federal intervention structures and the orderly treatment of existing security outfits, assets, liabilities, records, and pending cases. The working group brings together the institutions that must own and implement these decisions: the Presidency, the Federal Ministry of Justice, the Office of the National Security Advisor, the Nigeria Police Force, the Nigeria Governors Forum, and the Nigerian Bar Association. Its secretariat will conduct the research, legal audit, policy analysis, drafting, data processing, consultation, document control, and preparation of the final transmittal package. The President has also approved a multidisciplinary policy advisory committee chaired by Honorable Justice Mohammed Abdullahi Liman, who's here with us. Its membership draws from the judiciary, the academia, the police and security agencies, justice sector reformists, public policy experts, technology and data experts, the National Assembly, the Office of the National Security Advisor, the Nigeria Police Force, Nigerian Bar Association, the Nigerian Governors Forum, and State Attorneys General. The committee includes direct subnational perspectives with State Attorneys General drawn from across the 6 geopolitical zones. The role of the Policy Advisory Committee is to provide high-level policy and technical oversight. It will test assumptions, identify gaps, review the policy outline and successive versions of the bill, and validate the supporting fiscal, transition, and implementation materials before they move to executive consideration. In a reform of this sensitivity, Independent oversight and a documented record of comments and dispositions are essential to both quality and public confidence. The approved work program is a 7-week milestone-driven exercise running from the 27th of July to 14th of September 2026. Administrative and technical preparations have been underway, and today's meeting formally mobilizes the next stage. The resulting executive bill package is scheduled for presentation to the President on the 3rd of September. Subject to his approval, a national consultation on the completed draft will follow. But I think that we have tweaked that so the national consultation will come before the President's final approval. After which the text and supporting materials will be revised and prepared for formal transmission to the National Assembly. The timetable is demanding, but it is not a shortcut. Legal drafting, policy, research, data analysis, and implementation modeling will proceed in parallel with fixed review gates. The final package will comprise more than a bill. It will include schedules, an explanatory memorandum, a legal audit, and consequential amendments matrix, a clause-by-clause analysis, a state readiness framework, a fiscal and implementation note, an implementation work plan, a validation report, a risk register, and a controlled digital archive. These are the materials required to make the reform defensible, auditable, and capable of implementation. The government is proceeding on a clear principle. Local policing capability must be matched by national safeguards. State police cannot mean 36 state militias, just as national standards cannot become a disguised method of re-centralizing day-to-day state policing. States must have a legitimate policy voice on public safety, but no political office holder should be able to direct the arrest of an opponent, the suppression of lawful political activity, or the selective enforcement of the law. Federal intervention must remain exceptional, evidence-based, proportionate, time-limited, and reviewable. Officers must answer to the Constitution and the law. Operational commencement must also be based on readiness, not announcement. A proposed state police service must demonstrate that it has credible arrangements for recruitment, vetting, training, pay, pensions, equipment, custody, complaints, discipline, data, firearms control, independent oversight, and financial sustainability before it begins policing. National standards will be the baseline. States may establish higher standards. However, no Nigerian should receive a lower standard of protection because of where they reside. Public participation is an integral part of this process. To that end, we are announcing an open call for memoranda, position papers, and practical proposals from Nigerians at home and abroad, institutions, state and local actors, experts, and other stakeholders to inform and improve the legislative proposals and other deliverables that the working group will produce. Now, those submissions will be organized by theme and recorded. When the completed draft is ready, the national consultation will allow Nigerians to engage with the actual clauses, the safeguards, funding proposals, and transition arrangements. The process will show not only what was submitted, but how material proposals were considered. We recognize the concerns that accompany this reform: the fear of political abuse, unequal state capacity, duplication of commands, poor funding, ethnic or sectional capture, and the possibility that new institutions could reproduce old failures. Those concerns are legitimate, They are precisely why the constitutional amendment cannot be treated as self-executing, and why the National Policing Bill must be comprehensive, and safeguards are not obstacles to state police. They are what makes state police credible, lawful, and sustainable. This reform will not by itself solve every security problem in Nigeria. No law can substitute for good leadership, competent officers, reliable intelligence, adequate resources, professional discipline, and public trust. But Nigeria has an opportunity to build a policing system better matched to the scale and diversity of the country. A strong federal police service for federal, interstate, and national security responsibilities, and a capable state police services for state and local responsibilities and common standards that protect the Republic and its citizens. Mr. President recognizes this opportune moment and is determined that we as a country will rise to meet this moment together, capably and responsibly. For us on the working group, Mr. President's direction is clear. We have accepted the responsibility and we will achieve our mandate. I thank the members of the working group, the Policy Advisory Committee, the Committee Secretary, the Secretariat, and all institutions that have committed their expertise to this assignment. I also thank the Nigerian people and call on all well-meaning citizens to join us to produce a better and more legitimate outcome by ensuring that this process of designing and implementing a dual policing structure is inclusive, collaborative, and brings all Nigerians together in a joint effort for the common good. Thank you, and we'll now take questions.
Did you know the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will begin the distribution of permanent voter cards across Osun State from Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2026, ahead of the Osun State governorship election on Saturday, the 15th of August 2026. According to the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, the exercise is for newly registered voters, citizens who apply for a transfer of their voter registration, those who requested replacement of lost or damaged PVCs, as well as voters who are yet to collect their cards from previous registration exercises. PVC distribution will begin at the registration area centers from Wednesday, the 22nd of July, before moving to INEC local government area offices from Wednesday, the 29th of July to Friday, the 7th of August, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily, including weekends. Remember, PVC collection is strictly personal. No one can collect your card on your behalf, and without your PVC, you cannot be accredited or vote on election day. As Osun prepares to elect its next governor and deputy governor, visit your designated PVC collection center before the deadline. Collect your permanent voter cards and take your place in deciding the future of Osun on Saturday, the 15th of August, 2026. Get your PVC. Protect your vote.
Stay updated on our latest series of voter education on the ADBN Enlightenment Campaign.
Every day, across forests, highways, towns, and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head-on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces, salute their gallantry, stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Hashtag Unite Against Terror.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on Adbn TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
The global business is never static. Watch the market report on Adbn TV for business information, latest happening business deals, government economic policies, stock, crude oil and commodity trading, financial upstick and downstick, and the world of organized private sector. The market report showing on Adbn TV 1 to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. The market report bringing you up to speed in the business world.
Did you know the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) will begin the distribution of permanent voter cards across Osun State from Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2026, ahead of the Osun State governorship election on Saturday, the 15th of August 2026. According to the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, the exercise is for newly registered voters, citizens who apply for a transfer of their voter registration, those who requested replacement of lost or damaged PVCs, as well as voters who are yet to collect their cards from previous registration exercises. PVC distribution will begin at the registration area centers from Wednesday, the 22nd of July, before moving to INEC local government area offices from Wednesday, the 29th of July, to Friday, the 7th of August, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily, including weekends. Remember, PVC collection is strictly personal. No one can collect your card on your behalf, and without your PVC, you cannot be accredited or vote on election day. As Osun prepares to elect its next governor and deputy governor, visit your designated PVC collection center before the deadline. Collect your permanent voter cards and take your place in deciding the future of Osun on Saturday, the 15th of August, 2026. Get your PVC. Protect your vote.
Stay updated on our latest series of voter education on the Adbn Enlightenment Campaign.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere.
You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's head straight to the next line of discussion this morning. Welcoming our guest to the program, Barrister Adbn, who is a public affairs analyst. Very good morning to you, Barrister. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Delight to be on your program.
Good morning, sir, and welcome.
All right, let's head straight to the front pages this morning, starting off with a very sad story stemming from Sokoto State, where we hear that many people are currently feared dead. The number is quite uncertain, but about 37 were abducted after a bandit attack in a certain Sokoto community. Now, this is also coming at a time when the presidency is doing a lot towards ensuring that it beefs up security all across the country and also boosts the morale of members of the armed forces with the recent approval of an 80% salary increase for about 250,000 armed forces personnel. But let me get your reaction to this as we continue to see almost on a weekly basis numerous attacks in different parts of the country.
Well, it is worrying, and we should express our condolences to the family of those that have lost their lost one. But the fundamentals remains the same. Government is not doing enough to curb insecurity. People are celebrating the recent increment in the wages of our military personnel, but if you look at it and you compare it with the cost of living at the moment, you discover that that increment is like is just a tip in an iceberg. It serves nothing. It will not reduce the harsh condition our military personnel are going through. We have to compare apples with apples. What is it obtainable in other clime? You have personnel, military personnel on the battlefront. You have them confronting the monster of insecurity, and they equally have another battle in their homes, in their families. Some of these military personnel, apart from the little accommodation they have in the barracks, outside barracks, they have no life of their own. If they are retired today, they have nothing to fall back onto. You expect them to confront a monstrous and well-equipped security menace. Is it the same military personnel that we have that you expect them to go and confront a Bello Turuji that has gotten so much billions from his activities of kidnapping and collecting ransom? Or is it the same gangs of bandits in Sokoto axis and Zamfara axis that have unrestricted flow of small arms and even huge arms coming in from the Sahel and the other climb? You see, our borders are porous. The fundamentals of succeeding and winning this fight against insecurity, banditry, and terrorism, the fundamentals are weak. We cannot just applaud the government because a certain measure has been taken. When you now look at the major cause of and causative factors of all this insecurity are still very rife. We have a high rate of poverty. You have the headers farmer dichotomy and conflict that has been consistent, there's now a pandemic. No deliberate action is being taken. All the actions that have been taken in the past have not yielded any positive results. Then we have the big cow in the house where everybody is shying away from it. The fight for scarce resources, the activities of illegal miners is still going on, and the government is losing billions of naira. In fact, going into trillions. Who are the beneficiaries? Who are the perpetrators?
Barrister, given the former situation of Oyo State citizens talking about your re-raid kidnap and with what Nigeria witnessed, one would have thought that there would have been better measures put out in other rural locations, given that this seemed to be the hotspot for these bandits. What is your take on that?
My take is simple. You see the approach that is being, as I said, we need to get into the fundamentals. For the Oyo case, you see the lot of outcry, a lot of people, they came out, they all showed their dismay. But you see in Sokoto, it's like a norm. And the factors are not far-fetched. There are another big factor that apart from the harder farmers, we call it have the dichotomy between the Hausa-speaking people and the Fulani people and the leaders too. We don't want to go tribal, but we know that there is this divide of this hegemonic relationship whereby one tribe feel is being submerged. And if you're talking about examples of things that worked in another place and you expect it to work in Sokoto, the situations are basically different in the sense that the reaction of the people of Oyo and the people of the Southwest and even Nigerians generally, kidnapping, banditry, terrorism activities has been going on far too long in the northwestern, in the northeastern part, and the people have been traumatized to the point that nobody is even talking, and the government, they are not even welcoming you. We are talking about creating state police. We are talking about the intervention. What have the government at the state level, what have they done? At least in Oyo, we saw the governor of Sheyi Makinde coming out to even challenge the whole processes. But in the northeast, it's in the northwestern states, it's as if they are all in cahoots and nobody seems to be very interested. What we are interested in, or what people tend to, is to give a body count. Today, 37 gone, tomorrow, 20, and everybody goes back to normal. If a high-ranking chief, the emir of the late emir of Gobir, could be killed, until this day, no accountability. We have so many incidences. People have lost a lot. We are talking of doing things differently, bringing new ideas, but we still keep going back to the same thing. There are certain factors that needs to be looked at. We need to go to the root of the problem of insecurity, of which, as I said, the activities of miners. We all know that the northwestern states are highly blessed with a lot of mineral resources, gold, lithium, so many resources, countless for us to mention. And certain individuals have hijacked that process.
Barrister, yes, we know that the police bill, the whole rigorous process is there. They're trying to fix the state police process in place, and we know it's not fully implemented yet. But then again, do you think that the state governors are just turning blind eyes to these insecurity issues? Because talking about the Sokoto menace, the local security vigilantes are complaining that their instruments, their weapons of defense are not commensurate to what these bandits are carrying. Imagine a situation where these bandits had to operate for more than 1, 2, 3 hours and nobody to challenge them. What do you make about the situation? Do you really think the governments are out to fight this insurgency? Talking about the state government precisely.
So they are not doing enough. They have a lot of security. They have a lot of humongous resources being given to them as security votes. If we are talking about, you know, the challenges, the local, the way we call the NSAC, they are ordinarily supposed to be people gathering intelligence, using their local intelligence and feeding to the military. But in a situation where the state government are not creating the enabling environment, there's nothing stopping any state in Nigeria from acquiring sophisticated drone, from acquiring bulletproof cars, from acquiring bulletproof vests, from even arming. You see, it's about accountability. We are not saying that the local vigilante cannot be well armed. It's about so that they will not equally be used as instrument for abuse, because we know the potentials of what our state governors can easily do. So for now, based on your question, I want to answer directly. The state governor of Sokoto is not doing enough. Various state governments are not doing enough. Resources are being allocated to them. In law, if you are not specifically prevented from taking certain steps, it means you can act. And in this case of life and death, they are not doing enough. It will shock you to know that a lot of citizens have resorted into self-help. That's the only way out for them. They've decided to arm themselves, decided to form a vigilante group, and they defend themselves anytime they are being attacked. What the expectation is that the state government could have done better.
Barrister Tanimu, you had stated something along the lines of the porosity of our borders. Let's take a look at Sabon Birni local also be in a better position to further advocate for what he had initially advised the federal government to take necessary actions towards. What do you see panning out? Is this a viable solution to end this problem once and for all?
No, I don't think so. We cannot afford the luxury of building. Yes, because the cost implication in it. What we need to do is to establish friendly relationship with the neighboring country and complement security architecture in such a way that they can complement and we share. We had this in the past, but we allowed politics to let it fret away. Ordinarily, if there's a collaborative effort between the Nigerian government and the Nigerian government, things would have been done differently, whereby the bandits will be tackled from both flanks. But building a wall as a kind of shield, it will not work. The stretch at which we need to cover is something that is unimaginable. And if you look at the history of those countries that have used walls to demarcate their borders, they've not really achieved a peaceful security environment. It still goes back to human relationship and the relationship between the two states. So more is needed in terms of, number one, we revive the relationship between those countries that are surrounding our country, and they can now deepen the security architecture in the sense that it will now be complementary. Right now, our relationship with Nigeria is almost zero. And if you say you want to demarcate completely, a lot of Nigerians are already in Nigerians. That is given. Even in Abuja here, go to Area 1, go to Jabi, you see they flock into the country. In fact, some of them even have dual citizenship. And we all know this as a matter of fact. So trying to create a physical structure when they already have their physical presence, both the good ones and the potential and all the actual criminals are in the country, it will solve. It will not really solve.
It's not just about the ones that are already in Nigeria, Barrister Tanimo. It's not about whether we have the good ones, good Nigerians, or bad ones in Nigeria. We're talking about actual terrorist activities that go on along the borderlines between Nigeria and these countries. Even in Nigeria, we have apart from the Boko Haram terrorists that are operating in the northeast, particularly in Borno State, that tend to cross over to Cameroon sometimes or other parts of other African countries. We also have along the borderlines of the northwest where the Laukurawa group, the Mahmuda terror group are all operating. It could be a vis-a-vis situation where terrorist activities from Nigeria can filter into Niger Republic and other African countries along that coast, or those countries have their terrorists who infiltrate into the country. So what I'm looking for is just a viable solution that will stop actual consistent terrorist activities spilling over into Nigeria from these countries. About the ones that are already here, I believe that is the job of the Immigration Service to ensure that they are either properly documented or they are deported back to their countries. So this is just my assertion regarding this matter this morning.
I agree with you to a large extent. That's why I said we now need to deepen our relationship. Even if the whole borderline is fenced, there will naturally still be an entrance whereby immigrants and people will be able to come in and go out of the country. And you see, let me share a typical example for you. There's a client, I bought some materials from a client, and I discovered that he came all the way from the innermost part of Niger. And I looked at his car, I'm seeing a Nigerian plate number. So I was curious, I was just asking, how did you get? So it means as a foreigner, you even have a Nigerian plate number, and you beat the entire security down to Abuja. So having the borderline is good, it's something, it's a long-time project, but we know that the country, there's paucity of fund. The one we can do now is to rely more on local intelligence and to deepen our relationship between the Nigerian government and other Sahelian states, and then we can now improve our security architecture so that there will be significant improvement in checking the menace and the activities of terrorist group within and outside the country.
Now, Barrister Tanimo, before we move on to yet another matter this morning, let's get your concluding thoughts on the Sokoto attack. Now, not just in Sokoto, we also hear that another attack had happened in Plateau State, but the number of attacks are becoming one too many to even keep track of. At the moment, there are people that have been abducted and are still in bandit captivity that Nigerians might have even forgotten about. There have been instances where we hear of, local government council chairmen negotiating on behalf of their constituents with bandits. negotiating things like taxes being paid to the bandits and farm produce, a portion of the farm produce that farmers get being given to the bandits. In fact, as a matter of fact, we have intel that in some communities in the Northwest, certain bandit leaders and bandit kingpins storm communities. They do not only abduct women, but they have held these communities to ransom in such a way that they go to a household and they decide on who they want to sleep with, whether it's the wife or a daughter or whoever at all. And the men can't do anything because they are basically living under the authority of these bandits in communities in the Northwest. I just want you to give us a very viable solution to this huge problem. What we are seeing every day in the news is just a scratch on the surface. It goes way deeper than the eyes can see. It goes way deeper than we can comprehend. But what can we do as a nation jointly to ensure that we rid our nation of this scourge?
I completely align with what you have said. That is the norm now. It's no longer big news that all what you have painted is happening on a daily basis. A recurring thing. A lot of people have learned to live with it as a norm, and they've been told to their faces by government officials that live with it, that there's insecurity everywhere. We cannot take this. And the sad thing is that election is by the corner, so the insecurity is going to be exacerbated because some of the big fish responsible for this insecurity we are witnessing, they are using it as a political tool, either to paint the government black, and for those in government, either to create to catch the people so that they may only make them to understand that you either continue with the way things are and you have no alternative. If Nigeria need to rise up, Nigeria need to. This is an opportunity. The election we have is a two-edged sword. People should be able to know that there's no amount of tokenism that will make them to sway into voting for the same. Is an opportunity for people to have a referendum. The election itself is a referendum of government. If you are satisfied, if the people, especially the most challenged people, if they are satisfied with what the government is doing, then they should go back and vote the government to remain in power. But if they know that this is not what anybody should accept anywhere in the world, then it's an opportunity to show their disaffection, to show their challenge, to tell Nigerians that things are not being done properly and they should not vote in a government that cannot perform the most basic responsibility as enshrined in our constitution, which is the protection of life and property. They should show their annoyance using their electoral. Pending that, people should agitate more. People should learn to demonstrate peacefully. For those in Sokoto, for those in Zamfara, they have relatives in Abuja in order to climb that they can even protest on their behalf, both nationally and internationally.
Okay, Mr. Tanimo, let's go to another issue of discussion on our news headlines today. We're talking about a contractor, still on the PFIPC matter. A contractor have come up to say that the con artist, talking about Adbn, scammed him of 400 million naira for a contract he was supposed to give to him. What do you make of that news?
For Adbn at the moment, a lot of people should actually come out and speak out their mind. It's even good that the contractor is coming out to lay his complaint bare. There are other people that will be too ashamed to come out and state what they've gone through. You see, the whole problem starts from the foundation. If Adbn has been held out as a director general of a government agency, it's within his purview to give out contracts, and it's within the purview of any Nigerian, any contractor to see how they want to benefit from such contractual obligation. But as it stands now, it's obvious that he doesn't have such powers, and there's kind of caveat for all contractors. You have to dig deep into any agency, any government agency that you want to embark on a relationship with. That is why it's important that you carry your lawyer along, you conduct due diligence. If you look at it, we have not gotten the full details, but you see, a lot of contracts that have been awarded in the whole, not only in this fake government agency, but even in the regular ministries and intergovernmental agency, you discover that it's based on ties, man to man, a family ties, a friendship ties, or it's based on outright purchase. It's ongoing. It's just like this one now, the contractor, basically he has lost out, and I don't think he has any remedy because he won't be able to get anything out of Adbn. So for him, it's good he comes out. It's a lesson learned, and other contractors who should be more careful in their dealings with government agencies generally. They should know that things of this nature can easily happen. But if you look at it, on the other side, you are not expected to pay money to get contracts. You are expected to even be given funding and advance payment. So that the red flags were actually there from the beginning. He shouldn't have used his resources. A standard government contract, you are supposed to be given an advancement, which the government too will require you to get an advance payment guarantee, APG, or a bank guarantee to secure the fund that they are releasing to you. So how he was scammed, how the contractor was scammed, the investigation will reveal, but I assure you there's element of collusion. That means he allowed himself to be scammed.
All right, Barrister Tanimo, let's take a look at the alleged 400 million naira that was received from the contractor by Adbn, which the contractor is now crying out to the reps panel that he was scammed after depositing 400 million naira for 2 billion. It was supposed to be a 2 billion naira contractor or something like that. However, if you want to connect the dots, Adbn, in his revelatory statements made at the time when his phantom counsel was found out, was claiming to have paid in an advance fee of 400 million naira to the Chief of Staff to the President, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, with an additional 200 million naira to be paid in due time. Now, other cases arose in the course of that, with the 1.3 billion naira budgetary allocation in the 2026 budget, and also a 24 billion naira take-off grant, which he was supposed to remit about 40% of that to the Chief of Staff. Could there be some sort of connection between the 400 million naira that the contractor was scammed off and the alleged 400 million naira that Adbn said he had sent to the Chief of Staff?
You see, every matter or every case will be dealt based on the preponderance of available evidences that has been projected forward. I believe the House of Assembly will not only hear what if you recall that, and I'm aware that the DG will be interrogated afresh by the House Committee investigating this matter. So for now, it's just that the whole story is building up. More facts, more information will naturally come out. So having that nexus is difficult to establish the nexus when the facts have not been gathered. You cannot hear from one side and take informed decisions. So for now, we have to wait so that the committee will dig up more facts. The nexus of 400 million being paid to him, and he claiming that he gave to the Chief of Staff. All these things, as the investigation is ongoing, more facts will be unraveled. But the nexus, well, it's just at this point is a conjecture. It's not something that is more or less a hearsay, not something one can want to rely on. But wait, at the end of it all, investigation will show. The question is, the House of Assembly, House of Rep member will have the opportunity of questioning Adbn as to the source of the purported 400 million. Recall, it's not only these monies that have been advanced to the agency, other regular money too might have been advanced to the agency from the letters and series of correspondences that we've seen. So for now, it's an investigation that is ongoing. More facts will be adduced, and based on that, informed decision will be made.
Talking about hearing from both sides, Barrister Tanimo, what do you make of the situation, knowing fully well that this matter has actually arose in court, and few weeks or few days after, we hear that there is a probe done by a committee of the House of Reps Don't you think it's a flagrant disregard for the court of law? And what does the law say about that as a lawyer that you are?
Okay, you see, they are completely different. Criminal case is different from civil case. In criminal case, you have to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. But in civil case, in civil investigation and in civil hearing, is on the preponderance of evidence, that likelihood of something being the fact. So in our laws, a matter can have both the civil aspect and the criminal aspect. The criminal aspect ought to be prosecuted by the security agencies and the relevant agencies that are enabled by law. Then the civil aspect, even an individual can maintain an action. Like the gentleman that complained that he was defrauded, he can institute a civil suit completely different from the one the police or ICPC and any other government agency we want to perform. So the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, they're actually within their purview to investigate the civil component. This time around, we want to look at ways to improve our system, our operation, our mode of operation, and they want to equally give the general public the opportunity to even know what actually happened. That doesn't, and at the end of it all, recommendations will now be made. Their recommendations will include recommending, if criminal prosecution has not commenced, they could recommend for criminal prosecution based on the facts and the evidences they have. They could recommend compensation to be paid. They could recommend so many recommendations, but it does not translate into conviction. But you see, in the criminal case, at the end of it all, there will be a conviction, there will be a forfeiture of his assets, and for those that have been scammed, they can equally get compensated based on the proceeds of the crime that will be taken from him. So they are completely separated and they can work together.
And based off of what you've said, all this analysis you've put in place, don't you think that in some way is going to sway the mind of the court?
No, the court doesn't work that way. As I explained to you, in what the court is adjudicating upon is a criminal matter. And in criminal matter, it presupposes that the police or the relevant security agency have done a detailed investigation, statements taken, facts corroborated, witnesses being called. They will be subjected to cross-examination. The judge will look at their demeanor. They will look at the relevant provision of our law. We will use the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. We will look at the relevant penal law that is in operation, what section has been violated, and those section has its own attendant punishment in terms of conviction, in terms of monies to be paid. You see, at the end of it all, the civil case is completely different. The civil case is for you want to compensate someone that has been scammed. You want to improve on the system. You want to make recommendation to government on things they need to do. But in the civil case, it's solely at the discretion of the judge to control the whole processes. You tender, the police will present their facts, will present their evidences. Their evidences will be subjected to the fire of cross-examination, and the judge now will be the impartial decider to weigh the attachment, the weight you want to attach to evidences produced based on the evidence that are beyond any doubt. That is when judgment will be entered. And if it is conviction, if it is a discharge, and it could be a discharge and an acquittal.
All right, Barrister Tanimu, let's also look at the story from another dimension. We hear that the House of Representatives panel is on this issue, is set to interrogate the alleged PFIPC DG Adbn at an undisclosed location, also at an undisclosed date. Well, this is something that you had mentioned earlier, but do you think that the general public will be comfortable with this decision by the House of Reps panel to not make the investigative panel, especially for the interrogation of Adbn, public, much like others were made public for Nigerians to see?
No, we are not comfortable about that, and it marks a level of, it's as if there's interference. As we all know, certain big name, particularly the chief of staff, is being mentioned here, and it will be as if they is being shielded. But on the flip side, you need to protect the office. It's possible, very possible, that Ademi will be making some spurious allegations that are unfounded, and it will create doubts about the person, that's Femi Gbajabiamila, holding office. And maybe the National Assembly members want to kind of protect him. For me, what I suggest and what I feel that the House of Reps should do is to allow the first session to be in camera, but subsequent session should now be for the general public, so that whatever he must have said, there will now be an opportunity for the general public to hear him speak out. The idea of hearing him speak out and visiting him at an undisclosed location and date is provided if it will give us the result that is intended. But in this case, it will be difficult to achieve that. That is why some of us, even from the LS, we are not too comfortable to have an organ of the government investigate this matter. We have expected that an independent council would have been appointed and would have been given the free hand to equally look at this matter in a very dispassionate matter, free from control from both even the executive and the legislature, so that Ademo will now have all the opportunity to air out whatever. But the good thing is we equally have the court. So no matter what they do at this initial stage, Ademo will have a field day in court whereby his lawyer will be able to guide him and he will be able to marshal out whatever they are hiding. And we will not want to see this repeat itself in the courtroom, and the court proceedings now should be open. So for me, you look at, why are they hiding the proceedings when they know that eventually the matter will be in court? It could be tactical in a way that either they are trying to take the whole matter till next year when the election must have been concluded, because we all know criminal matter takes time. As at the moment, our courts are on break to resume in September. So August is completely out of it. And when they resume, before you know it, we are talking of 2027. So we are not very comfortable that this whole proceedings, as regards the interrogation of Ademo, is done in secrecy.
Barrister, given the whole outcry by Nigerians talking about transparency and accountability, you've already mentioned that it's not the best most way of proceedings, talking about the probe of the fake con artist. But what does that tell on our present condition as a democratic nation?
It shows that we are not open. It shows that the transparency index in the way government activities are being conducted is at its lowest. And she gives room for suspicion. It gives room, people lose confidence in the whole system. If you are conducting an investigation and you are already portraying to the general public that there is the possibility that your whole activity is being controlled, ordinarily, a lot of people have called for the resignation or the suspension, temporary suspension of the chief of staff. And now we are now seeing that deliberation is done in secret. It goes to further re-echo and re-cement the decision of, or the perception people are having that some certain persons are being, the efforts are being made to give some certain people soft landing, and it doesn't go well. And it's not good for our democracy.
Of landing. Do you think there is, as a lawyer, do you think there is a position, should the probe not go as the masses would ordinarily think it should go? Is there a place for disregarding or rendering void every outcome or result of the probe from the committee?
Well, you see, the House of Assembly or the National Assembly in general is an institution created by law. What they are doing basically is they are trying to perform their legislative role of being a checker to checkmate the activities of the executive. So we don't expect that they are going, it's just a report that will be out at the end of the day, and the report will state its finding and its recommendation. Whether we jettison the entire recommendation is not within our powers, it's within the powers of the executive that will be mandated to perform certain rules. But as I said, for the fact that the matter is already in court and even the ICP is still conducting its own investigation, there's no limitation as regards the number of charges that can be brought against Adeyemi. He has a likelihood of having case of forgery, perjury, case of diversion, extortion, and all the rest on him. But as I said, he is not the only person that our focus should be on. The enablers, those that have enabled this mess to have happened in the first instance, we should not be said because they are not being prosecuted in a criminal court, there shouldn't be administrative means to checkmate. As you can see, they've invited so